Like many basketball fans around the world, for the past 5 weeks I've been tuned into the Last Dance documentary that's all about Michael Jordan and his career. Like some viewers, I belong to a category of basketball fans who didn't really get the chance to watch Michael Jordan play. For this context, specifically the Gen Z, or in basketball terms, the LeBron generation. So my only knowledge of Michael Jordan is based on YouTube clips, comments and debates between older guys, and of course now documentaries. So it's always been a bit hard for me to comment about Michael Jordan because most of the time I genuinely don't know what I'm talking about. Or because older guys always respond saying something like this.
You're a little boy to me. I'll kiss you on your forehead. You're a little boy. Sit down.
But with this documentary, I finally get a chance to chip in my own opinions about Michael Jordan or just my reflections about the documentary. So I could also talk about my opinions on the basketball debate of who the GOAT is, but it seems like we hear that every other day on ESPN and on social media, so I'll just leave that to the experts. Instead, I'll be giving my reflections on the docu-series, and through my reflections, I'll be discussing a question I've been pondering on for some time now. That question being, is Michael Jordan as good as advertised, or do older people tend to exaggerate? I understand that there have been some great players from the past, some players who are so good that you can't even compare them to many players in the league today. The league has had many MVPs, great shooters, Hall of Famers, but there have been other dominant players like Shaq, Magic Johnson, Kobe Bryant, Wilt Chamberlain, and so many others. These are some of the biggest names in NBA history, but somehow Michael Jordan is still the biggest name out of all of them, and they all agree that Michael Jordan is better than them. So I always wondered what is so special about this guy. In my whole life, I've only heard one man claim to be better than Michael Jordan, and that's LeVar Ball. So because of the comments I always heard from other past basketball players, I always assumed that he was just a super talented guy who obliterated all his competition easily for his whole career. And that was never really appealing to me. Instead, this documentary really showed me what made Jordan Jordan and why he's so special. I could hit you with the classic hard work and determination, but although it's true, Shaq had it and Kobe also had it, and also Wilt Chamberlain had it. And many of these guys who were in the past actually were more talented than Michael Jordan from a physical standpoint. But with Jordan, it's a combination of hard work, determination, and also many other things. No one really expected him to be as good as he was, both going into college and going into the NBA. If you recall the first few episodes of the documentary, when he went to college, he wasn't even the best player on his roster. James Worthy was, and once Michael Jordan learned this, he changed it in a matter of 2 weeks. And also when he came to the league as a rookie, we also saw that he intentionally sought to be the best player on his team, and he did that. And if you recall the earlier episodes, there's a scene where some coaches and some players were talking about how they were not really buying the Michael Jordan hype and how he had to prove himself. And that just really shows that Michael Jordan got everything he had out of the mud at every stage of his career. In the final episode, someone made mention of Jordan's best trait. I'm just paraphrasing, but he said that what made Jordan so lethal was not his own court skills or his athletic ability. I would take it even further and say that it wasn't necessarily his work ethic, but that instead, as the guy mentioned, it was his ability to stay present. I truly believe this because unlike other superstars, we see that from time to time Jordan was always focused on the task at hand, almost as if he had not achieved anything at all. When he came to a new game, it's almost as if his past accomplishments have been taken away from him. This created a hunger within him and a will to win every time, and I believe that this created that mentality that we all know him for, that killer instinct to always prove himself. But that wasn't just a killer instinct. From the stories, Michael Jordan honestly seemed like a psychopath. On the court, he wasn't just Michael Jordan anymore, he became Michael Jordan. And all this combined allowed him to push through all the adversity he faced and to silence all the doubters. Many superstars now and in the past worked hard and were determined, but it seems like they got satisfied with what they had achieved, whether it's an MVP trophy, an All-Star appearance, or 1 or 2 championships. I guess they felt like they had nothing to prove anymore, but that's not the case with Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan wanted to be the best for as long as he played, and it seemed as though he hated to lose more than he loved to win. And he would use anything he could as fuel, even if he had to make it up. Of course, he was able to become a huge icon because his influence surpassed the game. He also heavily influenced the culture through his sneakers and his personality in a way that I believe only LeBron has matched. However, I can't make him seem like this was all he's doing. What this documentary also reminded me was that no man is an island, in a sense that Jordan wouldn't be Jordan if he had never been in a position of having the greatest coach of all time or the teammates like Scottie Pippen and Dennis Rodman. It seems like Scottie Pippen would have had another great career where he was elevated more as a superstar. Now, I could conclude and say that Jordan is the greatest of all time, but for someone like me to say it, it would feel a little bit, how do I put this? Yeah, like that. But to be fair, a documentary all about how Jordan is so great with the agenda to portray him as the greatest of all time can cause a little bit of bias, you know what I'm saying? So before I make any comment, I'll have to first wait for the LeBron documentary, but until then, I'll just finish with this. News came out that Michael Jordan had this footage for a long time. He had been reluctant to release it, but after LeBron led the Cavs to a championship from a 3-1 comeback against the Warriors, MJ then decided to release the documentary on the day of the parade. I don't know about you, but that says a lot to me. But yeah, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you're new. Comment down below any reflections you may have from the documentary. But until next time, peace.